Hey guys, Marsengan here bringing a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the physical Dokkan Fest Rosé and how well he can do on the new 220% Super Bosses team with the STR Rosé and Zamasu. Now, this guy has had a checkered past, I guess you could say, an interesting journey since his original release. So he was released as a global first on a very interesting banner, where they returned, I think was it the worldwide LRs were featured? Or was it the anniversary LRs? I can't remember. He had a really weird banner where he didn't have a banner unit, and it was just a bunch of random like Dokkan Fest. There were some Dokkan Fest LRs on there. I think we got some free tickets to summon for him as well. And it was just an interestingly surprising, I guess, choice that he just released as a random global first. And then, of course, being the last victim of this kind of thing before the sync, he then released on JP later with a more fleshed out celebration, had a banner unit, had a part 2 LR to make Super Bosses that bit better of a team. And of course, he then even got buffed with the supposed excuse, which of course, you know, continued the many cries that there'll always be of Global Shaft, of the fact that it was only when he came out on JP that apparently the reason for the buff was that he was always supposed to have worked that way, and they didn't realize that he'd released as is, like basically being wrong on global, until he was about to come out on JP. So definitely had an interesting story in the release of Dokkan. So bear in mind, this guy, his super attack, he raises attack and defense for 1 turn, does immense damage. He has key 2, 200% attack and defense, gets an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. On the first turn, he has guard, which is pretty useful in some of these events that start off being quite tough straight away. Super Boss's ally on the team, each one gives him 6% damage reduction up to 30, so he's kind of always been very much tied to being run on a Super Bosses type team. Before he attacks, he has 30% damage reduction. Then for every rainbow key sphere obtained, he launches an additional attack. For each time he performs 5 or more attacks in battle, he launches an additional super up to once within the turn. Every time he performs 10 or more attacks in battle, he gets another additional super. For every attack performed, 30% attack and defense within the turn. And then Super Boss's allies 2 key after he receives an attack, and he has a great chance of nullifying Ki Blast super attacks. So the interesting thing is, this guy is going to launch a bunch of additional normal attacks with the rainbow orbs that you pick up, which can then allow him to launch these additional supers if he's getting 5 or more attacks, or whenever he gets to 10. Like, you can get to certain milestone turns where he attacks quite a few times. But the thing is, with him defensively, he only has guard on the first turn. Then on the full Super Bosses setup, he has 30% damage reduction after attacking. And the problem with his design has always been that he has 60% damage reduction before he attacks, fine, but he's only got 360k defense start of turn. So he's not going to be tanking any like big slot 1 super attacks or anything. So that's always been kind of the issue for this guy. So let's go ahead and we'll just start off here. Now, the big question has been with this guy getting the buff now from the new Rosé team setup is this guy just an active skill merchant? Because his active skill, his domain, is going to be really, really good for this team, because obviously it buffs Super Bosses, and of course it transforms him into the Scythe Goku Black with the clones, very fitting for this team, of course, and that makes him considerably better. Only lasts for a couple of turns, but the Scythe version obviously is very, very powerful. I mean, I've seen some crazy screenshots of, if you get the good RNG, where he does loads and loads of additional supers. I've seen some really crazy screenshots of like the numbers that he ends up getting to. Because the big thing with this Rosé, I think that disappointed a lot of people on release, is he's one of those units that, yeah, he builds up throughout the turn. So people see like his first super attack of the turn only being like 6, 7 million, 5 million, depending on the rotation, something like that. But then by the time he's done like 3 or 4 supers, he was quite easily getting up into the like 20 million, even potentially 30, like even on release, if he gets enough attacks. But he does need to build up. Obviously the Scythe version is better. Like, it's kind of funny, the tech one here just hitting harder than him in this scenario, because these clones are just so like ridiculously good free-to-play characters. But we're going to see what we can get out of our boy. It's getting built up, get the domain. Because the thing is, this team, and I've talked about it quite a lot, is this team can go so crazy with all of the support and everything that they can get. Because both the STR Rosé active skills give support to the whole team for a few turns. And then the domain gives support to the team. So when we get the setup where like both STR Rosés in like the back-to-back turns have done their active skills, and we have the physical Rosé domain up, like everyone on the team is going to be hitting so ridiculously hard, including the physical Rosé, right? And if we can get, hopefully in this video, one of those good RNG turns where he attacks a lot, then we're going to be able to see him get up to some pretty interesting numbers. But we'll see how we go. We got the AGL Rosé on the team, keeping him on rotation with the STR one. Obviously, that's a very good rotation, giving the extra support, keeping him on rotation so you can get these attacks in, so you can build up. Obviously, AGL Rosé gets a guaranteed additional super. I did remember to finally change the hidden potential for mine, because with his super EZA, the fact that he like builds up crit now, he pretty much just wants to be additional and dodge. Getting that third super off for him so he greatly raises defense again will obviously be very, very helpful. We did get the additional in this turn, but sadly it was only a normal from the old hidden potential. And then, yeah, the int clone just finishing off this guy. The clones are so good. Like, this whole team is just so good, so fun. But yeah, remember the domain can be activated when all allies attacking in the same turn are super bosses from turn 4 or just from turn 6. So obviously on a super bosses team, where we're always going to have the super bosses allies, getting his domain nice and early is pretty cool. We get 3 rainbow orbs here, so we can get some extra attacks in. And the thing is with this guy, his stats go up very, very quickly because of this, right? Attack and defense 30% within the turn with each attack performed. So the first attack he does, he's going to get an extra 30%, which is going to be almost 150k. Then bear in mind he's getting the super attack effect as well. Then he does another attack, then another attack, and it's 30% of whatever that is at the time, I believe is how that's calculated. So he'll get the first 30%, so that puts him up to like 600k. Then the next 30% will actually be closer to a 200k buff, so then he goes up to like 800k defense. Then the next attack pushes him like over 1 million. And so he's always been able to be in a decent enough spot, I guess, when it comes to tanking normals, because he's got that damage reduction after attacking. It's only 30%, but still pretty good. We were unable to get a physical orb for the physical clone at the end, which means he's not going to have guard, but fortunately they super attacked straight away anyway, so we don't need to worry too much about that. I thought we'd just jump in and do the super class boss rush, because this stage can actually be relatively difficult. So, I mean, there is the possibility that we die because, like, one of the clones gets us killed. But the point of the video is to try out the physical Rosé in an event that is actually relatively difficult, and see how we get on. I mean, the funny thing is, he would be kind of useful in the new toughest fight, right, with the Zamasu and Rosé, because he does have that great chance to nullify Ki Blast super attacks, and both Zamasu and Rosé do Ki Blast supers. The only disappointing thing is he loses that ability when you transform into the Scythe, like, domain version, which is a shame, because obviously that ability is really powerful. And in the domain version with the Scythe, like, he can hit really, really hard, and his defense will build up to a pretty decent level, like sometimes even up to like 4 million, depending how many attacks he gets. But without having the damage reduction, because he loses that with the transformation as well, I think he has, actually, does he have some still after attacking? He gets extra damage reduction before attacking in the Scythe version, but I think he loses some of the post-attacking damage reduction. The problem is, even though his raw defense can build up to like a reasonable number, he will then take like lethal damage from these big bosses that are doing like 6-7 million damage supers, because even having like 5 million defense raw like is good, but if you don't have guard and damage reduction and stuff as well, then obviously a 7 million damage super is still going to kill you. So I mean, double check exactly what it is. I mean, we can, I guess we could, to be fair, we could just look at it on the next turn, because that's when we're going to actually be able to transform. So I think we might as well go ahead and just use this first Rosé domain, because that gives everybody the buff, because then that's going to carry over to the next turn, and then yeah, that just kills them. And that awesome KO screen, gotta love that. Alright, so we got one active skill up with the STR Rosé. So we've got the super attack at the end. I mean, he does have guard. That is awkward, though. He's super attacking at the beginning as well. Does the clone live that? I don't know. I mean, Rosé's going to lower attack with his 12 key, but... So yeah, we're starting off the turn at 500k defense. So if we start adding up all of these buffs, so we're going to attack with the Rosé active skill again, which will do some big damage. 51 million damage crit from my 55% Rosé. Okay. I should have done the domain first because it would have made the active skill do more damage, but I wanted to see just the defense upgrade with the Rosé second buff. So that puts him up to 622. And then we can go ahead and use our active skill, use the domain. Obviously, like I say, I just wanted to see the numbers difference. But in terms of actual, like, optimal play, you should use the domain first. Because then the Rosé active skill will do more damage. Because, yeah, we now have the domain, Rift in Time, Super Bosses, Allies, and Enemies, attack and defense 10%. And then an additional 10% for Extreme. So everyone on the team is getting a 20% buff. So he's now at 784 start of turn. So when we look at this guy now in the Scythe version, which is very cool. I like the fact you got the clones there, different arts from the clones that we got as well. They didn't just reuse the arts from the Rosé background. But yeah, this guy now greatly raises attack and raises defense with each super, as well as greatly lowering defense, which isn't that crazy. Key 2, attack and defense 220%, 22%, attacks effective against all types, launches an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super, randomly changes key spheres other than physical to rainbow. Then he has 66% damage reduction before attacking, but then yeah, he doesn't have any after attacking, which is kind of awkward. For every rainbow orb, he gets an additional attack that has a rare chance to become a super, which is crazy to think it's only rare. Like, everyone clowns on Blue Evolution Vegeta, the Prince of all normals, for having the medium chance. Rare chance is like 10%, which is annoying. Because, I mean, if it was higher, you could argue that he could potentially be too OP. But, like, my goodness, he would be insane if he had, like, a high chance for all of those attacks. Because he can do so many attacks in one turn. Because every rainbow orb is another additional attack. Then he still has when he does 5 attacks, he gets an additional super guaranteed. When he does 10 attacks, he gets an additional super guaranteed. And they all stack off of each other, the additional from the hidden potential as well. So you have the potential to have in one turn be getting the 5 attacks and the 10 attacks and the hidden potential. So many extra supers. And then with each attack performed within the turn, he's getting 33%. So again, like, each attack is going to be putting him up by crazy amounts. Like, the first attack he does is going to push him basically over, like, almost over 1.1 million. That's without even the super attack effects. And then he just kind of snowballs, like, from there. So let's go ahead and see what we can get here. Obviously, again, it's going to be largely RNG for how many supers we get. But we get 4 rainbow orbs. So 4 additional attacks guaranteed, which means during this turn, regardless of how many attacks we'd got previously, we are going to be doing the 5 attacks at least. So yeah, I guess we'll see how we... of course, Rosé didn't do the additional super, so we didn't get the attack lower. The Geo Blue might actually just kill the clone at the end. I'm not sure. I mean, the clone's going to have really good defense post-super and has guard, so maybe not. But look at that. So the first attack is 10 million. So again, like, people will see that and go, ah, that's not that good. But this guy builds up so much with each attack that he does. Like, he straight away jumps from 10 million to 15.5. And that's with the super attack effect and the buff from the passive. Then we're going to start getting these extra attacks because of the rainbow orbs. And every one of these is another 33% attack and defense. So, okay, one of them converted into a super because we got 4 rainbow orbs, right? So straight away, we've gone from 15.5 to 33 million. Then we've done 5 attacks, so we should get another one after this, I think. Yep. So now we're at 44 million. Starting off at 10, and we're now at 44 million. And then there's the crit. And then that was it for the attacks. So, I mean, that's quite a lot of attacks in one turn. Like I say, he's probably up to about 4 million defense at that point. But it does mean that, unfortunately, when it comes to the biggest bosses, he is still going to take a lot of damage. Can we dodge this? We dodged the normal right before. We probably won't dodge the super, no. We have guard. How much are we taking from this? Can we die? No, 290k. Let's go. I mean, that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and do this. I mean, we just win this turn. Well, I say win, but like defeat the Geo Blue. Win this turn. So yeah, pretty good turn from the physical Rosé. Getting up to some pretty high numbers, doing a lot of damage, getting the crits in as well. Very nice. 60 million for the STR Rosé with those Rosé active buffs and the domain. Like, that's just crazy. It's the Rainbow Friend. The additional normal is probably enough to kill him. Yeah. 10 million crit additional normal. It's pretty good. Alright, so on to the next turn. We've got Rosé back again. Let's see. Alright, it's a pretty good turn. We got some rainbow orbs over here. We've got 3 there. There's 3 there. That'll drop that one down though, I think. So if I do that. There you go, we can get those 3 still. So that's still very good. 3 extras. We've got the 737k defense start of turn. Obviously, at least with the Haim's having such high defense of all these buffs, and then having the 66% damage reduction before attacking, and the fact that he has type advantage over him, would make him quite good against the Int Rosé's AoEs as well in the new difficult event. So, I mean, this guy actually has quite a few positives for the new event, right? The damage reduction before attacking helps him with the AoE. The fact that he can negate Ki Blast supers in base helps him against any of the supers, because Rosé and Zamasu are both Ki Blasts. It's just a shame that they took that away from the transformed version, because in the Scythe mode, if he still had that attack negation, he'd be almost invincible against Rosé and Zamasu, which would be pretty awesome. But sadly, that is not the case. But yeah, he can still be pretty good. It's just, he is going to be one of those units still against the toughest bosses that a super attack is just going to kill him. But he's providing a lot of support to the team. He's got the good links, right? Obviously, they've all got big bad bosses, including the clones, but he's got Fierce Battle, supporting the whole team, getting off a ton of these attacks. I think it would be really cool if he lowered attack, just for the amount of attacks that he does, because it's a useful ability for characters to have, because even though it's not relevant in a lot of events, once it is, it becomes very useful. But yeah, physical Rosé, he's always been a bit shaky, even from release, but I've always liked him. I've always seen that potential. I don't mind units that build up throughout the turn, as long as they're fairly consistent, but that is the big problem, right? You can get just really bad RNG. All of the orb additionals just be normals, and then he's obviously, whilst he is still building up all of his stats by doing those normals, he's not doing like impressive damage if he's just doing a bunch of normals, which I think is like the big thing that people have concerns with. But I wonder if I mean, if we wanted to guarantee we survive the turn, we probably should do this, but although it'd be kind of interesting. I wonder how much like damage we could do with Zamasu here, with the domain up as well. I mean, I kind of want to see, because the AGL Rosé is going to tank, like the first hit is the normal, which will give him the extra damage reduction. I don't know if he will still live the super, but he does also have guard, so it'd be interesting to see. But I mean, physical Rosé did pretty well in this run. Having the Int clone around with the Scouter is really helpful, because again, like I say, it's only really the big supers that are going to take out physical Rosé. He does so many attacks. Yeah, 75 mil. He does so many attacks that normals he's going to be able to tank relatively well from like almost all bosses. It is just the supers that will be the issue. So I do think that physical Rosé is very much usable at the moment on this team. Again, in the new hardest event, he's got quite a few positives. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Let me know if you are a JP or a global player, because obviously he released at different times. Did you pull him when he first released? Have you only pulled him like on a subsequent time that he's returned? But yeah, I think he could be pretty good still overall. Oh, Rosé with the dodge on the super. Let's go. That's what we like to see. Don't even worry about the potential of getting hit with the super. We'll just dodge. Okay, so this is where these are the turns where it is the worst for him, when there's not as many rainbows. But I mean, we can still get 2. It's not bad. And then get the physical orbs for the physical clone. But again, this is one of those situations, especially now that the domain has run out, Like, we'll get our few attacks off here. The additionals that you get with the rainbow orbs don't have a chance to become supers when he's in base. So he's still getting all the stats from his passive from doing all those extra attacks, but he's not getting the actual like super attack buffs themselves. He does at least keep the damage reduction post attacking, which is good. I think that sort of counteracts the fact that because he's not doing a bunch of extra supers and getting defense raises from the super attack effects, he's got that little bit of damage reduction still. Because he's still going to get a bunch of additional normals, which do each buff his stats by 30% regardless. So he should still be perfectly fine to tank normals from Trunks here. And again, I mean, even dropping attack stats that are sort of around 10 million or just below, if he's doing multiple of them in the turn, then it's not as bad. Like, he can still do some relatively good damage overall, but a lot of the time it's just, yeah, like a bunch of additional normals. If they crit, they're not really doing a lot of damage. But look at that. I mean, he still did, what, 6 attacks in this turn and got up to like 17 million attack stat here. So his defense is easily like 3 to 4 mil, and he has 30% damage reduction after attacking. So he tanks the normals perfectly fine. So yeah, I mean, this run could have gone worse for sure. Like, if the question is physical Rosé just a domain merchant? In some events, the answer could be yes, if it comes to him eating a super. But again, I feel like for the most part, like, he's actually really good. This is actually going to be a crazy turn because Zamasu has the the super's the first attack as well, which means the tech one negates it, which is pretty funny. So if we do this, Zamasu's going to hit like an absolute truck on this turn as well and heal us, and then the tech one's going to action break the super. So yeah, 70 mil without any of the extra support because we're below 60% HP. So yeah, big crit, and then that gives us a full heal. Yeah, this end part's gone quite well, considering no domain active, still hit that hard, get the additional with the crit, additional normal, and then yeah, the perfect placement of the super attack from Trunks being the first attack that he's doing in the slot, which means that the tech clone can just action break the super away and then tank a normal for double-digit damage. Good work, clone team. You love to see it. But yeah, the big thing, of course, with physical Rosé is that he is really never going to be a slot 1 unit. Even in the Scythe mode, with all the extra buffs that he gets, like, I don't think he just doesn't work. Like, if we put him in slot 1 here, 440k with 60% damage reduction, like, he's only going to be able to tank, what, attacks that do like 1 million damage, which obviously when it comes to these bigger bosses that very much are likely to super in slot 1, like, that's just instant death, right? But yeah, I mean, I still think he's good. I still think he's very usable. He just falls into that category that there are, you know, it's a big category. There are many units in it that we would still consider to be good. It just falls into that category of if he takes a super from the big boss events, like the toughest events, then yeah, he's probably going to die in a lot of situations. At least in base, like we said, he can counter Ki Blast supers, which is really useful. But yeah, I think he's still definitely usable. The domain massively helps out the team. So yeah, I think physical Rosé is still a solid unit. He's not the best or anything, like he's not going to be suddenly back into being like one of the top 10 TURs or something just because of this team. But this team is super fun. There's a lot of support going around for all the units. They all link up super well. I think it's going to be... He's a fun addition to the team. The only downside, of course, as well, is the fact that there's so many units on the team now that are just called Rosé Goku Black. Because the new unit doesn't count, because it's the reversible exchange. But you've got this guy, the AGL Super EZA that we've got on the team, and the Int LR that has the temporary buff for the duration of the GDC. And it's a bit awkward trying to run all 3 of them on the same team. So when it comes down to, is the Int one better to run or the physical one, I think it largely depends on the event, because the Int one is also in a similar spot where he'll tank normals pretty well, but won't tank supers. But he doesn't have the domain that buffs the rest of the team. So he hits harder than this guy, because he does the one big attack and pretty much always gets an additional. So physical Rosé can only hope of matching Int Rosé's damage output when he's in the Scythe mode and is getting multiple supers. But at least he's also supporting the team. So they both have pros and cons. They're both very, very good. So Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, but I think we're now dead because we didn't finish him off this turn. And unfortunately, AGL Rosé needs to tank a couple of hits before getting hit with a super so that he builds up that damage reduction. But yeah, physical Rosé didn't let us down in the run, so I guess that is what it is. I replaced him on a team that was already built, so he didn't show up on the list, but there we go. I still think it's cool. His art's cool. The clone art thing's cool. I don't know, let me know your thoughts, but I think physical Rosé definitely is runnable again. I'm not going to say he's now like, you know, he's back and he's that guy, but he is very good. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.